And Brock, as I always do, I went through the Superstock pits trying to find one of these tractors with that front cowling removed so that I could show everyone at home these big diesel engines. But these guys are just super secret and protective of those turbocharging and fuel systems. They just don't want anyone to see them.
They sure don't, and they are very sophisticated in some cases. We said earlier, up to 4 turbochargers are allowed on this particular class of tractor, and when you get through with the plumbing on 4 turbochargers on a diesel engine, you do have some complications. Well, we can understand why Lyle Hull is a little secretive, as are the rest of the guys. As he gets ready to go, feeds the power to that big Minneapolis Moline, and down the 300-foot course there's Bowling Green he comes. But he is bogging down, Steve. Doesn't look like he's going to go beyond much more than half track.
No, he's not, Brock. He might have guessed a little bit wrong on the weighting, the balance of the tractor. You know, this is one of the few forms of motorsports where weight is an advantage instead of a disadvantage. Earlier, I had a chance to take a look.
That tractor is a Minneapolis Moline G1000 series, the 1966 model Minneapolis Moline. At the wheel, Aaron Hull. He will have the choice, the option to either take this pull and or pass this pull down. All right, ready on the drag, ready on the finish line. There we go. Aaron Hull. Welcome with Cochran. Is that what you came to see, or what?
Welcome to Let's Grow Pulling, everybody. We were joined tonight by Justin from Hull Machine, and that pumped up guy who was excited by that run of the G1000 circa 2000 was me behind the camera.
I thought it was.
I was at North Branch, Michigan, ATPA pull back in 2000. Welcomed by Cody Vanderholm over there, the Vanderholm Media. Doug Borth is with us. Big Rye. And Justin Hull from Hull Machine. How are you tonight, sir?
Not too bad. Yourselves?
We're getting along. Thank you for coming on tonight. We're going to dive into the family history, of course, but also a little bit about what you guys are doing and what you're up to. You got some parts behind you, and we'll certainly get into the offerings that Hull Machine has for pullers besides yourself. But let's start with where it all began. When it came to the family being involved in pulling, where did it all start?
Oh, it's probably been in family back into the 60s, maybe even earlier than that. All the brothers, Lyle and his brothers, they all pulled back in the day. Started out with, they had a Minneapolis dealership and just started messing around and kept growing from there. A few of us left doing the big stuff yet, but a lot of our family is still very well involved in tractor pulling.
Was any of it, starting out of a dealership, was any of it, did you have any tie back to the manufacturer itself, or was that just something you guys said, we're going to do this because we got the shop space and we're going to make it happen?
Probably nothing with the Minneapolis Moline at all for say, but that's what they all liked, and so they stuck with it for years and years, and we're still keeping them going.
How much did it take, going back, like the first clip we saw there with the 5-star, those old, well, all of them really, they didn't have a main for every web. So how much work had to go in to make that kind of stuff live? And was that kind of where the start for what you're doing now began?
Oh yeah, back you only got 2 cylinders per main basically, and back then, I mean, that first video that was probably before I was even alive, and I know Lyle's went through lots and lots of testing and whatnot with girdles and what would work and what wouldn't work, and he went through a lot and a lot to get that done, and probably lots of hours of just sitting in the shop, machining, welding, drilling holes and whatnot to try and tie them blocks together. And he had a pretty good system down, and we just progressed with that. And that's kind of how we ended up in the machining world, is just through him. He went nights and weekends just doing anything he could to get the Minneapolis Moulines to hold together.
How much out of that 4-cylinder translated into what you guys started doing with the 6s?
Oh, probably quite a bit of it. Back when he went to built the G1000, what he had for a turbo setup on a 4-cylinder, he just made basically a double setup of that, and then eventually built his own aluminum heads and progressed it down the road.
You guys have changed a lot of tractors over the years. You've gone through a bunch of different stuff. With where you're at today, like how many of these that we're showing actually go back to that time period? How there's still a Moline presence in your family and what you guys are doing, but does any of it actually have a lineage back into the history for the whole
Still
family?
around?
Yeah.
Our M670 that my dad still has, which we haven't ran since 2009, I think, when I lifted the block in it, or split the block in it and tore all the sheet metal off of it. We actually still have that tractor, which is the original 5-star tractor. The plan is maybe someday to build a light limited super out of that, because it just doesn't have the capacity for a light super anymore. A lot of the old sheet metal stuff is still around, hanging in sheds and whatnot as pieces of history.
Was that M670? Was that the one where the steering wheel like disappeared into thin air?
Yep.
I heard about that. I hadn't seen the video until today, but I'd heard about that.
Yep.
Some say it's still floating in orbit today.
Yeah, that was back. We should have had tie bars because the Moline's got separate cylinder jugs on it from the crankcase, and we should have had tie bars on it back then and didn't.
Did that incident happen? I'm trying to remember back in all the video that I've seen from back in the day. That happened at Toma?
In 1994, when Aaron blew up the G1000, that was in Toma.
Okay.
And then 2009, when I blew the 670 up, that was in Monroe, Wisconsin, for the Greene County Fall Nationals.
Gotcha. I wondered if I had seen that somewhere before, and I may have. I was just trying to place it, and try to exhume it from it's probably best forgotten depths. You probably don't want to see that again.
Now you got to bring it up once in a while to remember what you did and how you progress from there.
Aaron, have you guys ever pulled a diesel, or has it always been alcohol based?
Excuse me a minute, something popped up on my computer. We've always been alcohol based. We do work for a lot of local area hot farms and special farm type of tractors, so we're involved with diesel enough too, but
the whole family has never had a diesel super stock.
No, nope.
Why is that?
Guess we just didn't like getting our hands that dirty. I don't know.
All right.
The way Molines were and whatnot, different cylinder heads, and the Molines were pretty bad in the cylinder head department. So just trying to get stuff that holds was probably a little bit more tougher.
And looking at this photo, like, I don't know if it's just the photo angle, but at the wrist pin end of those rods, is there an offset in the bushing center line, or is that just the photo being what it is?
It must just be the photo. There's no offset in them, no.
Okay.
You're not the only one that thought that, Charles.
So I had asked you off air, beforehand about the deck plate that we're seeing there, and I'm not going to ask you to say whose it is or give away the farm there, but that's not something that we would see in a diesel application. And obviously, you just alluded to that you're not interested in really pursuing that. It's more about spark ignition. But just on a general level, what are we looking at there?
The plate there is a chambered plate. It would go between the cylinder head and the block. More so in light limited class where you have to run an OEM cylinder head yet. So what we do is basically make a plate to go in between there that has a chamber in it to try and further the power out of the original diesel head. There's quite a few that use it. There's quite a few that don't. That's just one thing that we like to utilize when we're doing an engine setup, doing the alcohol and with a factory head that does not have a chamber to begin with.
Yeah, your standard diesel head, if you look at it, I mean, it's going to be just a flat plate across the surface and just with some valves in it. So this has some shape to it. It develops a combustion chamber. Did you guys do any sort of, R&D on developing that particular shape for a certain swirl, or was it based on historical knowledge of other applications and you just retrofitted it into this? How did that come about?
It's a little bit of both. Go back to the car world stuff, that always had chambers in them. And it seems like when you run the higher compression stuff, the chamber usually tends to help out a little bit as far as not getting burned down the side of the piston and stuff like that. There is some things like a diesel head originally has a swirl port type in it to begin with. And you want to take accountability in when you're doing that of what that air motion is. So there's a little bit of testing that goes into on the flow bench, and it takes some time messing around, making adjustments, especially redesigning stuff to try and see what you're looking for.
Whether it be billet head or otherwise, have you guys experimented with, valve relocation, putting angle on them, putting cant on them?
Not really. A lot of the rules are kind of limited that way in light limited supers and light super itself. You can move stuff a little bit, but unless you really want to get into gray areas, and sometimes then that doesn't help out with your valve geometry or your rock arm geometry, I should say.
Yeah. How much have you guys had experience with OHC? Have you done an overhead cam?
The big supers, are all overhead cam.
They are. Okay.
They all originally go back to having Brent Long cylinder heads on them originally, and just made some updates through the years and different stuff, trying different things, and that's kind of where we're getting at nowadays, is really trying to start pushing the cylinder head program a little bit harder. There's many great manufacturers out there of them, but if you can make something and it works, run with it.
The G1000 you guys did, how much did Brent Long have into that cylinder head, going back to like the video we played back to 2000? Was he a part of that all along?
Yeah, that would have been the first stages of when Brent Long helped him out, built cylinder heads and some miscellaneous other components. Before that, Lyle had originally planned to go overhead cam on the old 800 engine, but just never went that far with it. I mean, they had quite a bit of it done, but the 800 block was it was weaker than the 585 block, so it just kind of got set on the back burner.
When you guys got taking care of business, that one had a long head as well. Did you find a surprise in there when you started dissecting it, or did you just say, all right, it's the same thing, but it's just a bore space to match the block?
Yeah, they are very similar. It's basically, the John Deere, you got a one-piece head, and the Moline, you got 3 separate heads, and it's more work, but general.
Really? Even the overhead cam on the Moline being 3 separate, it was still 3 separate blocks.
Yep, the cylinder heads were.
Holy! How did you guys tie that together and make it live?
Well, originally they had cast iron separate cylinder jugs on it, and that seemed to be a little bit of an issue. So we went to a one-piece cylinder jug, and then that seems to hold everything in line a lot better.
And you didn't smack the cam bearings out of it with 3 separate heads at all?
Nope, we've never had that issue.
Brain's running.
Sorry, I'm checking out. Brain's turning now.
You guys are still running a Moline block in the G1000?
Yep, it's a 585 crankcase and a 585 factory crank, counterweighted.
You guys have to be the only ones doing that. Am I right?
I don't know if there'd be anybody dumber to do it.
I wasn't throwing you under the bus, and you know it.
Yeah, it's quite the sight to see when you spin it and lay that 200 RPM.
Holy shit!
Wow.
Sorry, I'm nerding. You guys go. I'll be back.
So while the smoke pours out of Charles's ears and he takes his mental detour for a minute, in a perfect world, what class or classes are really best fit for the type of power that Moline makes? If you're talking about a purely Moline powered machine.
Pure Moline, you're probably talking antique. I mean, you can do more with it, but it takes a lot of work, and you gotta want to have it, I guess, basically.
Well, and you guys have proven that the desire to have it and to carry on that history makes it work. I mean, you guys make them work.
Yeah, it's a lot of years in the making to be where it is today, and you just never know how hard you can actually push it till you keep doing it. And knock on wood, it's been holding together.
Don't come after me if it doesn't hold together next year.
Yeah. We know we're pushing our luck, or at least we think we know we are.
Are you
So does that mean that? Go ahead, Doug.
Are you making the same power with that setup as, say, the John Deere's?
I think we're a little bit short right now, but we've had some struggles. Changed turbos on that one and fuel pump and stuff. We've had some struggles just getting it back to running smooth and consistent to the point where we can probably turn it up a little bit more. Made a good pass at Wheatland, at a pretty conservative setting. So we'll adjust from there and see what we can get. But we want that tractor to run all the time too. So
I don't know if you can see that comment from Alan Johnson, but I'm not sure who he's referring to.
Yeah, that'd be Mike Otto, I believe, out of Missouri. Yep. He's got Doug Seafer's Mopower engine in that one now.
Is that the one that had a real bad night last year, or maybe 2 years ago? He rolled it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Alan has a thought on your machining process, and I'm going to ask you to confirm or deny this: that you drink 74 Busch Lights and then went to machining.
Yeah.
Not being in Wisconsin, they drank 74 New Glarus spotted cows.
Yeah.
Come on, Alan, respect the history. You know better.
I mean, sometimes it don't hurt to sit down and have a beer and think about things and bring it back to the table the next morning and alter it.
Can you imagine how many, and I'm bringing this up seriously, how many of these ideas have turned into great ideas that were hatched over a beer or six over the years? And I'm not just talking about you guys, I'm talking about whoever.
Oh yeah, in general, it's probably a lot more than one would think.
Yeah, everybody laughs at the hold my beer, memes when they go spinning around the internet, but there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
Hell, there's probably some truth to that when it came to building farm tractors.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, after the poll is done and you get back in the pits with all your competitors and start talking and whatnot, there's lots of ideas floating around out there that you just keep thinking about, keeps you awake at night, I guess.
I mean, I guarantee you that there was some aspect of the Cajun Queen that came to light as an idea after a show, and that motor has quite the illustrious history for 35 years or some crazy thing, with John Deere with the 466 with a turbo.
Yep.
So yeah, folks, when they say hold my beer, be careful, they might be onto something.
Alan mentions doing some turbo work. How much of your machining program is turbos, and do you guys consider making that like a full line? You becoming a turbo manufacturer, or is that a pool you don't necessarily want to wade into?
We've got some things in the works right now that we're trying to move further with. The bigger turbo stuff, like you see in that picture there, that's come about in the last couple of years with having to advance the supers and whatnot. And so we decided to go out on our own a little bit and mess around with these big chargers, and they make power, that's for sure. It's just getting the fine-tuning of things down and figuring out where we can get the supplies the best, The
way these appear to be interfaced, these I would say are high pressure chargers, right?
That was a 3 charger setup for a light super. So it was 2 chop chargers in the back there, atmosphere chargers, and then a little bit smaller bottom one in the middle.
Okay, so you're doing an interchangeable interface where you can not only bolt them together, but then you can put some kind of guillotine or horn in front of it.
Yeah, or you can mount air cleaners on there, or
Gotcha.
whatever
Okay.
you so desire.
Biggest turbo you work with? You may not want to say.
Right now would be a 4.8. This is the biggest that we've went so far.
Zuck, you could run those.
Yes. Turbo the Rolls Royce. Do the things.
We're here for the noise and the sound that makes.
I don't know if I want that sound muffled by chargers. I'm going to put that out there right now.
I think it would sound more unique.
It would. It would.
And it'll still rattle your rib cage as it goes by.
Right.
And the rule will still apply. V12 equals automatic earplug delete. You don't have them in.
Justin, you ever seen that thing make a pass?
I've seen some video clips of it, not in person yet.
Homie, you got to come pulling with us out west sometime just for fun, just so you can experience that.
Exactly. That's an experience. That's not. I watched it. It's an experience.
It's not something you just behold. It's something you experience.
Yep.
Well, you could just bring the light super to Rock Valley and.
Yeah, that's
kill two birds with one stone.
My intentions are sometime to get out that way with the light tractor. Do some work with the Homer boys out there. So I'd like to get out there and meet them, straight up instead of talking all the time.
Yeah.
I suddenly feel a really, really, really overpowering urge to make it to an outlaw poll.
As you should.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stupid geography.
Justin, what's your most memorable pass? The most memorable one for you, aside, and we can completely throw out the launching of the steering wheel. What's the pass that's like you come back to and you think, man, I'd love to do that one more time or a dozen more times?
Oh, I don't know. There's probably quite a few of them. Running the G1000 and Freedom Hall's going to be one to always be memorable.
What year was that?
2012, I want to say. If we would have had a little bit more front end weight, it would have been a little bit nicer, but that's just one of them things you only get to do so often, I don't know. Had enough passes, it's hard to say.
Which of the tractors have you enjoyed driving the most? The Oliver or the 1000 or?
Probably the light super. It's just a little bit more jumpy, and I got a lot more time myself in that than the other ones. I thought. But anytime you can get on one of the big supers, that's nice too, because they got a lot of power and they don't get as radical as the light tractor, but when you get hooked up and you're moving, you're definitely going.
All right, so on that same kind of vein, tell me about pulling minis.
Like as
mini rods.
Mini rods?
You pulled one, did you not?
Yeah, we had one for a while back in, or Aaron had one, I should say, back in 2008, 9, 10 range, somewhere in there.
It was like one of those small block, right?
No, we had a 572 Aries Hemi in that one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
That was Wisconsin state rules, right? With the small blower.
that's originally how that started. We started building that for Wisconsin State. But then they went smaller cubic inch too. So we just kept a bigger cubic inch and a bigger blower on it and ran a couple Grand National hooks here and there and whatnot. And there was another club in Wisconsin that allowed everything. So we ran there quite a bit. It's a lot more vibration. Hard to see what you're doing, especially back then. You know, tires weren't what they are these days and stuff like that.
So as far as innovation goes, then, and well, you kind of touched on it a little bit with tires and how far they've come. What do you see as the next big thing with the lights? What problem do you guys all have right now that you're trying to solve? Is it tire related? Is it fuel? Is it air?
The biggest thing is probably weight.
Mm-hmm.
We usually ain't got enough front end weight, so we're always got the drawbars down. But it's supposed to be light super, so we can't change that problem by going heavier. You know, then we're just gonna. I mean, we're knocking on the door of what I call medium super right now with the light tractors. So we definitely can't go any heavier in weight. So, and the chassis are pretty light the way they are right now. So probably tires are probably going to be where the next thing that's coming, because I think we'll probably be running out of the Polar 2000 HPs. Kind of looking for certain era age HPs right now to keep getting through. So that'll probably be the next thing, is where we're going to go there. I mean, you're seeing
or whatever happens to replace it.
Right. I mean, you're seeing a lot of the heavy stuff, mods and heavy supers and whatnot, going to the Mitas tires now. So I'm not sure. I think them are a little bit heavier, so then that's going to take away from the front end weight on a light super.
What does a set of HPs weigh right now? Like the perfect set of tires for you guys right now, what do those weigh?
They would probably be per tire and rim, probably right in that 430 to 450 range, I would say.
Gotcha. And I can't remember what Taylor said that 24.5 Mitas were weighing. I remember he said they were heavier.
Yeah. Wasn't it like 480 or something when they start?
And then he was cutting rubber off of them, but I don't remember what he said that they ended up at.
Yeah, I don't either. I'd have to go back and rewatch it. I don't remember either.
No, that's okay. I wasn't intending on, interrogating Justin on that subject. That just kind of came out of left field.
What power
What's your favorite?
You guys running in, like when you had the Oliver and the current light super?
I missed the first part. What was that?
What power plant are you running in your light supers?
Right now on my tractor, it's a Hercules block, which is now expired. That's that was another one of them where you gotta love to want it.
It was a 478 based?
478 base, yeah. We were running 492 cubic inch, so a little short there, and the cast heads yet, just because we couldn't make it hold with the cast heads long enough to push onto aluminum, which maybe a single piece of aluminum head would help tie things together a little bit better. But with the advancements in turbos and whatnot in light super right now, I just don't know if that's ever going to hold if you want to run at the top.
Injected aspirated, they sure do rip, but when you put whistles to them, yeah.
Yep.
Without a time, what's the lineage on that chassis? I think I know, but I think I might be wrong as well. What's the history there?
That well, when Dave Sonntag had bought the original Savage tractor, cast iron tractor, then he came along and had. Well, I'm drawing a blank right now, but Dennis Johnson, I believe, built a component chassis for that, and that's what that one is yet today.
Gotcha. I guess I had this wrong. I had thought, just looking at everything I'd seen, that it looked so much like what Dwayne Schroeder had as the Cornhusker. So now I'm lost as to where that one disappeared to.
Oh, yeah, no, that wasn't. I think Justin Gravett has the old Cornhusker.
That actually sounds right. I think you're right, Justin Gravett or something.
Yeah,
I kind of think that rings a bell.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, I knew there was a disconnect there between Schroeder and what Sonnentag had done, and I kind of lost my way on where the two chassis had kind of went to. So now I get it. So thank you for correcting the record on that. Appreciate that.
Did Sonnentag ever get rid of the? Is he out now, like for good, or? Because the last I remember, I took a picture of. I think it was a cockshut bodied or sheet metaled Savage. Am I remembering that right? It would have been at the Cornhusker Classic, I think in 16 or 17.
I guess I'm not familiar if he's had anything since John Deere or not.
Okay. Because when did you guys get the tractor you have now?
2008, I think.
Okay.
Aaron bought that tractor.
Cody, you haven't asked a question yet. Chop, chop.
Well, everyone else has their pinnacle question, so I want to know what's your drink of choice.
Wisconsin.
Would beer, liquor, water that works too? It was kind of alluded to, you're from Wisconsin, you kind of have the market on spotted cow that there's a lot of people that do running stuff. So, but I don't know.
Yes, spotted cow is a good beer. I drink it once in a while, more so in the wintertime, I suppose.
My answer would be is if you're talking about daylight or after dark, because it's Mountain Dew all day long. So
right.
Yep.
During the day, most likely coffee in the morning and water the rest of the day.
So my follow-up question is, you said you want to make it and pull with the Outlaws. Where are you coming to? Rock Valley, Wisner? Where are you coming?
That's a good question. Probably be Rock Valley. If we could put it in the works, it's be a little bit closer. Intentions were last season, if things would have went good through the Ridgeland weekend and the following weekend for the last Wisconsin State hook, was to go out to the last Outlaw hook for Light Super. Unfortunately, this didn't happen that way.
So do you have any thoughts you can reveal on what you would repower your Light Super with, or are you going to go back to the Hercules?
I got a red block sitting there. Right.
If it works, it works.
Probably makes a little bit more sense on the side of trying to expand the machine business and whatnot and start doing more stuff in the international lines to progress that stuff on our end. I know there's a lot of vendors and stuff out there for that stuff, but you can always tweak it the way you like it.
So that was my next question: is talk about some of the machines and capabilities you have at in the shop there.
We got 3 CNC mills. Our biggest one, I think, is 40 by like 65 inches or whatever. We got 4-axis on the one Haas machine. We got a couple newer machines coming in too once we get the new facility up and running. We've expanded not only the Hull machine side, but really expanded the Lyle Hull and Son equipment side of business over this last summer or spring and summer. New locations, more employees and whatnot. So the machine shop we're still running out of the old location as of right now, but we have a new building that just got finished up, insulating and tin inside. Now we got to get 3-phase power run there and whatnot. Aaron and Heather actually just got married last weekend, or on the 15th, I should say. And we had a reception in there. So now we can start moving into machines.
People don't realize, like, you move a piece of equipment, and it's almost 10 grand every time you move something like that.
Yeah.
That's not including, the electricity move or anything like that. That's just rig it and get it into place, and it's
get the pad board, get it leveled, get it squared.
Yep.
Yeah, we're kind of fortunate enough with the equipment business that we got some heavier pieces of equipment to move that stuff on our own. And my dad runs crane, so he's always been a help. And anytime we've had to move machines around or this and that, and we got our own semis to haul the stuff too. So it takes a lot.
You're cheating at that moving process, is what you're saying.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But you still got to have the manpower and the time to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
What lines does the equipment side of the business sell? What do you guys sell?
We're probably bigger in the John Deere side for combines. Mainly John Deere and Case IH. And now with the expansion of business, we're in the construction line of work too for excavators and running a rental business for lifts and compact rollers and mini excavators, bigger excavators, 200s, dozers. We just, keep pushing along, trying to expand more.
Justin, Terry's got a pretty good question here on development of the 6.7 Cummins for light limited super. Like my understanding of that power plant for light limited super, with the power levels that they're trying to achieve, you've got to be in a sleeve block at that point. So we're really not talking about a 6.7 anymore. You're kind of in a hybrid world where you're sleeve down and then playing with deck height. What are you guys seeing?
Yeah, it's seemed to be more proven over the last couple of years that for the Cummins stuff that you got to start with putting a sleeve in them. The 5.9s. There's some people going to the 6.7s. It's probably a touch easier to put a sleeve in them because you're not machining the block out as far in the 6.7 as a 5.9. But then, luckily you can still run the 5.9 crank in the 6.7 block. So there's a few other
5.9 crank, 6.7 block with sleeves. You wind up with a 6.4, and they rip in the trucks. I mean, we've seen that.
Yep.
Good stuff.
my actual question I want to start asking, since we all have our niche, what's your word of advice to young pullers getting started, wanting to start getting started? What's your advice that you would give a young puller that's trying to get started and going?
I wouldn't be afraid of it, but do your homework, get established with a good company, and work with them. It might cost you a little bit more money up front, but it'll probably be cheaper in the long run. Just the fact of you start buying stuff all over, sometimes that used part that is a little bit cheaper seems to be the better deal, but might have a failure shortly down the road, which might cost a whole boatload more money just to get back together. So it's one of them things. You're gonna spend the money. You might as well do it up front. It might take you a little longer to get to the track, but it'd probably be more rewarding in the end, I would say.
Kind of a buy once, cry once kind of deal.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've got a lot of knowledge, that we tap into, and we always have questions of where do I start, what do I do, type of thing. And I think it's more that, a lot of times it's people wanting to start don't know where to go, where to start, type of thing. And so, we all have advice we can give them, type of thing. And you guys have more advice than what I would have to give to them to get going. So that's where I'm looking at, guys wanting to get started or, just starting out, what should they look for? So.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, when you're walking around in the pits, don't be shy. Go up to some of these pullers, that are there, and talk to them. And if they give you the time of day, feel them out where they think's the best route to go and whatnot, or where their experience has been with manufacturers and whatnot and builders. And if you don't talk, it's going to be hard,
Yeah.
Justin, you're on the front lines of machining. What is the phone call that you take on the regular where you'd love to just tell everybody, hey, this is beyond my control. We're in a new world. This is 2022, and I just can't make it happen this fast because of raw inputs or whatever it is. What's your pump the brakes moment for a potential customer to just say, look, I understand what you want to do, and I've got the capability to do it, but in terms of this world we're living in right now, I can't get X, Y, or Z to make it happen fast. You got to be patient. What would you say to that potential customer right now to just ward off that phone call 6, 8, 10, 15 weeks from now?
It's tough. I think we're in a little bit better position right now than we were last year or 2 years ago.
That's good to hear, because I haven't heard anybody say that yet.
The material lead times and stuff seem to be getting a little bit shorter, but there's a lot of processes. Sometimes you got to get stuff done out of house, and that seems to tend to take a long time. It's unfortunate that you got to tell them that it's not going to happen today, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of people out there, unless you're buying a small block Chevy type rod, that's going to have stuff on hand. I mean, there's definitely some places that are going to have, like the 5.9 Cummins stuff, that's kind of the small block of the diesel and alcohol tractor pulling and truck pulling world. You're going to get some.
That just became a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough. We got better lead times right now for material and stuff, but you're trying to keep up with things that got pushed off when the lead times were bad for getting in raw materials and whatnot. And especially in the connecting rod world, bolts and whatnot were really hard to come by last year. It took lots of times. We ramped up and bought more stuff ahead of time coming into this off season to try and be a little bit better prepared on that. But sometimes,
which was weird.
I get that, but like something else I want to ask you about. So the billets you guys get, that's a forging, and particularly on the rod side, we've seen some batches that come through from various suppliers, not you, that turn themselves to powder because of the inconsistency of the actual source material. Has that been a problem for you guys, or are you not necessarily seeing that?
We haven't had any of that trouble yet.
Good.
And you can always request certification on the bar stock that you're getting every time too. If you want to, put a little bit more insurance on what you're doing, you can always request that stuff. So, and big manufacturers that are pushing out a lot of things, a lot of products, I would say, you're probably talking in like the V8 Hemi worlds or something like that, where they're pushing out thousands upon thousands of connecting rods. You got to have, I don't know if there's somebody sitting there checking that material that's coming in the door every day just to do a physical check, is the grain direction running the right way or this and that,
1,000% sure. Yep. And that's actually been where we've seen the failures.
Probably a little more tough on the big volume runs than the small quantity runs.
Hey, you got somebody actually answering on your behalf.
Yeah, that'd be Brett.
Good. Love it.
So, Justin, as far as getting back into the history, who have been some of the greatest competitors that you guys have had over the years?
Oh, that's tough because there's quite a few of them over time. I'm a little bit younger, so probably the things that I remember from me being a kid, state of Wisconsin, probably be Kevin Lynn. At ATPA days, you're probably talking Larry Roberts and guys along them lines. Growing up, obviously the Joe Kwiatkowski and Take Care Business Tractor was always tough. Brent Long, when he could come along with his little 360, that was always the inspiration, single charger 360.
That thing was mean.
Yeah, still is mean. That engine is still going.
Yeah, I know it is.
I don't know, Aaron. What was your inspiration growing up?
Inspiration?
People that kept pushing.
Wait. You mean to tell us that Aaron's been sitting across the room?
He was sitting in the other office, but now he's sitting across the computer from me.
Come on, Aaron. Pull up a chair, please. Hey, buddy.
You got to scoot a little bit more. There you go.
There you go. That's perfect. Thank you, sir. Good to have you on, too.
You bet. Thank you.
So if you have further thoughts to add on that competitors list, who were the guys that when they rolled in, you thought, "Oh, crap, here we go again"?
Wow, there's been a lot of them over the years, but a lot of strong. In my class, there's been a lot of strong people. I mean, back in the day, it was Connor's brothers and Lustig was really tough for a lot of years. And Larry Roberts come along, and he kind of took over for a while, and he was tough for a long time. And then Blackburn got back out there, and they're super tough now for a lot of years. And Lot boys are tough. That whole class of mine right now is pretty tough. There's quite a bit of money out there to compete against, but you guys all know that too, and all the other classes. But
Yeah, there ain't no slouches in any of those classes anymore.
no. Nope, the technology has just advanced so much in the last, 20 years in triathlon. Just you think back of what you used to run, it just amazes me what we run today compared to back then, If you only knew if you knew some of that back then, you'd really had it made. But
So which of the 3 tractors that you haul to events, which one do you like driving the most?
no, my favorite tractor is the Moline, but my niche tractor, the one I like to drive every weekend, is taking care of business.
What is it about that tractor that you love so much?
I don't know. I was partners with Joe for a while and teamed up with Joe Kwiatkowski, and I run it quite a bit for him. He had some health troubles, and I ran during that period for him. And myself and the tractor just fit. I mean, I've always drove it very well, and we just got along. And some tractors you kind of bond with, I should say. You're comfortable in them, and it's easy to make them work.
I know for Charles and I that whenever I see that, well, I can speak for myself. I can probably speak for Charles too. But whenever I see you roll out on the track with that tractor, I go right back to Hudsonville, Michigan in my mind when I was a kid, because that's where I was born and raised. I was born and raised an hour north of Hudsonville, and I got to see of the Alki Supers. Joe's was, taking care of business was the one that I got to see most frequently.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this photo that I took at Enderley, just wheels up, taking care of business, hauling the mail. It's like, all right, I'm back again. I remember this from 20 years ago, like how this looks. And yeah, definitely struck a chord. But within them, how much is the chassis? Who built those 2 chassis, and where's the difference come in terms of feel?
Dave Fund built the Moline chassis.
Okay,
kind of built it all together, but he did the majority of it.
The current G1000.
Yep. And taking care of business, Engler built the majority of that.
So the prior generation before Fund did your G1000, was the prior generation an Engler one as well?
No, that was actually one I built myself.
It was. Okay. It had some hallmarks, so I wondered. Okay.
Is that the chassis that was just up for sale the last day or two?
I don't believe so.
I think Justin, you were tagged in it as for some reason, but somebody had a former Hall Clevgard chassis. It was Fool's Gold, I believe, chassis.
Yeah.
Like the one that lives down in Unionville?
I just saw there was I can go back and dig and see if I can find the post, but I saw it. I swear it was today.
I guess I haven't paid too much attention to the Facebook today to see if I was tagged in anything, but I guess I'm not really sure where that chassis went after Ganther.
Yeah, the original one. We had a tractor rear end in it yet when I put the overhead cam in the Minneapolis. And then we converted that to a component chassis. And then after that, Bob Ganser bought that chassis, and he ran it for a few years.
God, I don't know where it ever went after that.
I haven't a clue where it is today,
Andy
We're
just chimed in.
we're nerds about stuff like that.
Cody, what did you just say? Andy?
Andy just chimed in. So the chassis for sale was the original 1000 of Lyle's.
Ah.
In Ohio. Who's got that, Andy? Where'd you see it? You can send me a text or whatever.
So, guys, what's the most rewarding part of the sport for you? Is it the business that comes out of it, the friends, the competition, the travel, the keeping up with keeping the Moline history and the legacy kind of alive and well? What is it?
For me, it'd probably be all the friends you make along the way, people you meet. It's one of them sports that keeps giving back. You keep running into new people, and the people that you ran into 20 years ago, you're still talking to them. So, and a lot of the Moline history for me, but mostly the people you run into and your competitors.
It's definitely the other pullers and stuff for me, all the friends you meet. I mean, it's I've been to a lot of car races and stuff also, and it's just tractor pulling. It's a lot more relaxed. People don't get near as tense. I know there's sometimes people get tense, but for the most part, everyone in your class you're friends with, and you stay friends for years and years.
I found the listing. It's claiming to be Lyle Hall G1000 SS, Kendall Gloveguard Last Dog SS, most recent John Suspedis Fool's Gold Pro Stock.
Mm.
Yeah, that was never mine.
I didn't think so.
Maybe it was at one time, but
no. Maybe back in the Ag Chassis days, but I don't remember John's chassis ever looking like that either.
No. That's unfamiliar to me. That's all I can say.
And I'm sure you guys know who John is, with what his history is in pro stock.
Yep. Yeah, I've talked to him a few times. The original G1000 is what became the roll cage tractor, right? When you guys built over at camp.
Mm-hmm.
So that back end would have been with you guys till you put the component in, right?
Yeah, the tractor rear end was in there originally on the tube frame. But...
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna call this BS.
I would.
Well, sweet. Now Facebook's going to start calling us to fact check.
Fact checkers.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah. Well, we had the actual source material on the show, so take your fact check and cram it sideways.
Doug, you probably had a busy weekend, huh?
Actually, I stayed home this weekend. Went to the Badger game.
Oh, okay.
But I'm lucky enough that I get to go to SEMA next week. So we're leaving we're leaving Thursday and taking the races over the weekend, and then Tuesday, Wednesday at SEMA, and then fly to Atlanta to meet Cody and Ryan to go to Diesels and Dark Corners. So I got 2 weeks full coming up.
Lots of traveling involved in tractor pulling.
Never stop. You would think it would slow down, but it's amazing, and then a month from there, we're taking the tractor into PRI. So we're going to get it put back together for that.
You guys brought up an interesting point there. And I've actually wanted to ask him a machinist, or somebody who's actively involved in building machines, what has the fact that you can go and pull every month of the year done to your business?
It's definitely ramped it up. It's less time for us to go out and do them things, I would say, because we're trying to get other people's stuff ready so they can go have fun in the winter and go winter pulling and whatnot, where our stuff just kind of now sits in the trailer for the most part until midwinter, when we get some time to get it in and move on progressing what we think we should be doing on them. But yeah, it's a lot of focus on customer stuff.
Have we gotten to that point where there's too many? I mean, be real. I think we have, but I'm just one of, 6 heads in the room here.
It's hard to say to me. A lot of people like to do the winter pulling over the summer stuff, and I guess being in Wisconsin, I like doing other winter stuff, snowmobiling and whatnot. So it's not 100% tractor pulling all the time, but it always seems like you're thinking about it and working at it.
And I kind of wonder I kind of wonder sometimes if the fact that there's so many events and there's no off season anymore, if that just hinders, the process of development. I mean, it used to be that, guys could make some, they could make some changes and they could build new stuff and they could develop it and they could beat the crap out of it and break it and figure out what was going to make it work, so that when in April we start thinking about pulling again, well, now the guys up in Wisconsin, they got something new for you. Whereas now we don't really have that. You have to kind of fit it in. And the only month that anybody really kind of takes off, and they sort of do, I think, is December. But that's, we got family stuff then. We get Christmas. We get the holidays.
Yeah. I can definitely see where you're coming from on that. There has been a change of that over the years. Yeah. We actually do probably quite a bit of work in December, getting people ready to go to like Gordyville.
Mm-hmm.
That, because they want their stuff by the end of December to make sure everything's going to work,
So they can so they can go down to Kevin's or
right,
Slama's or Robbie's and go make a hit on the dyno. And
so we probably
get
see
her dialed in.
Our lull time is probably September, I would say. And then, as soon as harvest hits, which is going to be, or harvest is over with, which will be pretty quick here, and it'll be full bore again.
It'll be right back at it.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember seeing something, I think it was a year or two ago, Christmas Eve, you guys were running rods in the shop.
Yep.
Never quits, does it?
No. Last year we had a really busy winter. I think we ran 50 or 60 5.9 aluminum rods before the first of the year. But and a lot of that's light limited stuff, so dumb guys will be set for a little while now,
I was going to ask, is that the class that you guys have the most kind of involvement in, as kind of from a supplier perspective?
Yeah, probably right now, I would say. With the turbo stuff that we're getting into now, that'll probably shift some of that stuff too a little bit. But, we're just going to keep going with whoever calls up and wants us to do stuff for them,
You ever build any big cube antique stuff? Got any customers on that side?
We've done some work, not full builds. We've done some bigger stuff for guys over the years, yeah.
I can only imagine what would happen if you guys just decided one day, oh, the hell with it, we're going to build a G6 and watch that thing come down the track.
Yeah.
All the other G6 guys just roll their eyes, and if any of them are watching right now, they're already sharpening the pitchforks and lighting the torches. And for that, I apologize for that in advance. Guys, I didn't say that they were going to do it, but if they do, you're all in big trouble.
I don't think they got to worry about us 100% right now. Anyways,
I don't think so either, because I don't think you guys can hold a speed limit.
No, they're pretty tough.
6 mile an hour. 6 mile an hour. What?
Sorry, I couldn't let it go. If this thing is John Cespedes' old fool's gold, it's at least 3 generations ago. And who knows where that came from. That's 3 generations back. That photo is from gotta be like 1990 or something. So I'm pretty confident that the link doesn't exist back to you guys anymore.
I kind of figured you were digging on that.
Sorry, I went there.
I don't know how you find that. Let's be honest.
Google Foo and experience. So
yeah,
it's kind of like a hobby project for me because he's the last grandfathered non-diesel pro stock on the planet, and he's still got that rule applying to him. So I kind of follow what he's up to and what he's doing. And just anyway, whatever. Continue. Sorry.
That's because he's still propane, correct?
No, he's gas.
Gas. Okay.
He's gas. And he still has that exception to run gasoline as a pro stock, but it's a grandfather rule that was extended to him by NTPA, before PPL was a thing, and it still extends into him to OSTPA because that's where he runs today. I don't know where that grandfather rule still extends to him anymore, but for OSTPA, he's still good to do it. I have to check results and see if he's hooked at places like Bowling Green and taking advantage of the NTPA exception. But he still has that grandfather rule for him, and whatever frame that guy's trying to sell might have been John's once upon a time, but I don't think it goes back to our guests.
No, by the looks of them pictures, we'd have been running at the same time. So
exactly.
Messy,
So how does that grandfather clause work? What would cause it to expire, or how would it? I mean, is it applied to one human, i.e. John, or is it applied to the tractor? And if so, how much of the tractor constitutes enough to transfer the rules? So, like, if I wanted to buy it, would that rule still apply to me?
I believe, and I don't remember all of this, and I don't know if I could even find the documentation to prove any of it. The sunset clause on it was that it had to remain a gas tractor, it had to remain John's, and after that, I don't know the specificity of it because he's gone through. I got photos on my screen. I can take him through 3 frame variations, but he's never, quote unquote, killed it to the point to exercise the sunset clause. He's always been there and had it as a gas pro stock, and it's only applicable to him.
So it travels with the person as opposed to,
as I
if
understand
he put a
it,
price tag on it tomorrow and I wrote the check,
It would not transfer.
I now have to convert it to run on diesel.
That would be my understanding from what I remember of the original sunset clause on this when he was granted this like 20 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think you could build a second one on that.
I'm pretty sure it goes with the membership.
Okay.
Yeah.
Grandfather.
Jeremy just commented and said he lost the NTPA grandfather when OSTPA went PPL.
Okay.
Oh.
And Jeremy would know. So it's
Yes,
probably an OSTPA only thing at this point.
Probably.
And for the record, I'm not looking to buy a gas-powered Pro Stock.
Your wife will kill you.
Oh, my wife wants to kill me for 10 other reasons long before me having dreams on a G1000 gasoline-powered Pro Stock. I assure you of that.
That brings up the next question. When did I mean, sorry to get off rail here, but when was the last propane tractor going down the track?
Whenever the last time Mark Kohlberg ran his Super Farm.
Super Farm or Pro?
Super Farm.
So I want to say that was 20. I've seen pictures of a pretty good sized Fireball. I'll bet it was 2018 or 2019 was the last time.
Checking. Uh, 2015 was the last time Kohlberg ran propane.
For real?
Yeah. Well, he might have done it at something that was I hate to characterize it this way, but more local class or local series within Illinois, something sub state level. But 2015 was the last time it was out. And actually, for my memory, that kind of fits.
Yeah, that kind of fits for me too. I was going to say in that 6 to 8 years ago range.
So on the machining side, do you guys do anything? Do you guys do a bunch of parts for non-pulling vehicles too? Then, like, if I'm a Joe Schmo and I want to come in and do some custom parts, will you guys do some of that too, or are you guys strictly pulling side? I guess walk me through that too.
We do stuff for outside the pulling world. We have done production jobs in the past. We got some local manufacturing places that will do one-offs or small quantity runs for. That has nothing to do with the motorsports industry at all. So yeah, we do. You walk in the door and you want something done, and we can do it. We'll do it.
If the check cashes, huh?
Yep.
Do what you got to do to keep the lights on.
Exactly.
So by raise of hands, who does the CAD modeling? That's always a fun deal to figure out.
Yep. A lot of headaches.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of plastic, wood, cardboard parts here and there to figure stuff out before you start milling something out of aluminum that's expensive.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, luckily we haven't had too many oopsies, but I mean, it does happen. So it's all part of the game.
Yep.
So if you guys were going to start work on a fresh build tomorrow, what class would it be for? Would you do a light limited so that you have another test bed to work on, or a test mule, or something completely different, or would you say screw it and go build a dirt track car?
Nah, I don't know if I could do that.
1,000 horsepower sled. We got a guy who's watching who can help you with that.
Yeah, well, I got some family that runs drag snow sled and snow outlaws, so that is pretty intriguing, but I think we'll stay with the tractor pulling where it's mostly warm.
I feel you there.
But a brand new build.
Yep, clean sheet.
No, that's a tough one. For me, it'd probably be light limited super, just for you got lots of different options, and the class is so horsepower between the diesels and the alcohols and whatnot, and the weight variations is so close that it doesn't really come down to who's got the most power. It's about who hits the setup right for the day.
Who can drive it, right?
And drive it. But if we were going to go out and spend money, it'd probably be another big super, I would assume.
Well, we actually got a couple engines in the works.
All right, now we're in.
All right, there we go.
I knew I could draw something out of somebody.
So a lot of the parts are done for them, but we got a little ways to go. But my stuff keeps getting shoved back all the time. Customers call and want their work done.
Imagine that.
I put my guys on everything under the sun that they got to do for me. So then that's not just machining. I put them everywhere. So my stuff just keeps sitting, seems like.
So light limited super, and I presume it would run on booze.
Yep.
Well, these engines would be for heavy super.
Charles, we got any questions in the audience or no?
Sorry, nerding on the other screen.
Yeah,
and I can't keep up on comments with mine the way I'm set up.
Let's see if we get anything. Forgive me, I'm gonna read.
And if you do have questions and you haven't banged them into the comments section, get with the program. You know how this works.
There was one I gotta go find that I remember.
While he's digging, what's your favorite track to pull on and why?
It's a good question.
I used to have a few favorites, but I guess my favorite is right now. Last year I won down at Wheatland at the end of the year. My father passed away that year, and I kind of devoted that was my first win since he passed. So it's a good way to end the year, and we'll go off in the winter. I'm sure he's very pleased about that. So that kind of went to my top now, I guess, in my memories.
And you guys, you've put a few good laps down at Wheatland.
Yeah, I've done very good at Wheatland over the years. Except this year.
Well, that happens, I suppose.
Yeah. Best places, anytime you go to a big event, like a Toma or a Hillsboro, stuff like that, where you're running in front of a lot of people and good tracks. Them two places are always good tracks. Them are pretty good. State of Wisconsin, I always like going to Ridgeland. It's kind of a unique setup there where they got the big hill and the bleachers are boards stuck in the ground basically on the hill.
Someday I'm going to make it up to that show.
That's, I think, the longest running WTPA book to this day yet, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I kind of think 51 years this year.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you couldn't confirm it, I know that Yaren's ears just started itching and he has no idea why.
I couldn't find whatever comment I was hunting for, so we must have addressed it. So,
but yeah, there's lots of places, neat places to go to and look, and unfortunately, we'll never get to all of them. I mean, thankfully for social media, you can see some of them.
What's one you've always wanted to get to that you never have? That goes for either of you.
I think I've been to every one I wanted to go to. I pulled in Canada, top of Maine, NTPA one year. We did a couple trial runs out in Maine over a week's time, and that was pretty neat. I think we were about 25 miles from the very top of Maine. I've went down south quite a few times. I've out east quite a few times. So my father used to go down to Florida and pull on that. I go down to Florida, but I haven't done any pulling down there.
Would you consider dragging the tractors down if there were hooks?
We've talked about it a little bit, you know.
February 3rd and 4th, Zellwood, Florida. We'll make it classic. If we get a couple more the merrier.
If we went, there'd be 3 more. So.
Is that the plan going forward, to stick with the 3 tractors, and how much is the maintenance routine to keep all 3 of them going?
I think in the future here, I'm going to back down to probably 1 tractor. The Mini, I don't know what I'm going to do. That's probably going to keep forever no matter what. But
as it should be.
I'm getting a lot more busier, and the guys are getting busier, and I can't put them on just working on my stuff. So when they all act up at once, you know how tough it is to keep tractors going. So it'd kind of be nice to go back to 1 tractor like I used to do, and be a lot more fun at some of them than rushing around trying to get everything done, you know.
You would not consider doing all 3 as a John Deere engine, so you had, you know, ease of repairs. You'd keep the Moline being true, right?
No, the Moline's probably going to stay with the heart it's got in it. So
that was kind of my question. That was kind of my question. If you guys, I mean, on the John Deere side, like, why are you guys IH power plant type thing versus Deere on that side?
Well, that's basically for the light super aspect. Justin was talking about red because of the push rods, the cam location. There's a lot of little bit better benefits running a red one than a green one.
For a non-overhead cam engine.
But up until now, that has never been a thing, right? For you guys, that's always been a Hercules, like a 478 based.
Yeah,
correct.
Since we've had the Oliver tractor, it's always been the 478 Herc. It originally started out as Jeff Dockel's shaky tractor, and then we acquired pretty much. It was in a bushel basket or trailer of parts, and resurrected it, you know, and then got to the point where we were breaking rear end all the time and had to go component. So there ain't really anything left of the original shaky tractor anymore. But going in the future here, we got a business wise and probably and block wise, we need to go in a different direction, and probably the international is the better setup for that right now, in our opinion. Anyways.
That brings up something that, like, people get online and they like to talk about it. for light super as a specific class, that it's dominated. It's always red tractors, it's always blue tractors, and there's no John Deere's, blah, blah, blah. You just hit on something. What is it in the valve geometry? Is it push rod angle, push rod cant, valve, or rocker ratio? What is it about the Deere factory design that makes it disadvantageous, or is it just tied into it being a single side head versus a cross flow? What's holding it back from being successful?
I think cam height location is probably more so than anything. Either engine, you can do whatever you want for where you want to place the valves and stuff.
Because of the aftermarket head rule, so you can manipulate that.
So you can get a lot of the same out of each block. International standard crank is probably a little bit better than a John Deere standard crank, or OEM crank, I should say. So you can utilize international crank a little bit longer than Deere one. So that's probably a little bit of a factor there too. But I mean, there's a lot of good running Deeres out there, so you can't knock them either.
So is it something with a Deere where it's with the cam height, it's a push rod length problem where you're getting deflection in the push rods, or is it a scenario where with the IH block you can elevate, or you have this capacity to maybe increase cam bore and have a stronger cam, where you can be more aggressive on the cam lobe on the front side of the attack, or thirdly, is it a thing where it's the crank throws themselves having to eat away from that space that makes it better?
It's probably all three in conjunction. The international, is it's up just that touch bit farther where it's in its own little tunnel. You ain't got to worry about clearancing the rods and stuff, and that's where the Fords have a tough time too. You got to make the rods so thin on the one side because the cam lobe is right in the throw of the rod, so that makes the Fords even tougher yet. But I mean, there's plenty of good running Fords out there too. Which is durability wise, I think the international is probably just got the upper hand.
Well, that's cool. I appreciate you guys being having some candor about that. It's not a question I don't think everybody who comes on the show would be willing to answer that. So thank you for that.
Yep.
Well, we've kept you for an hour and a half. I don't want to keep you any longer. You've more than honored your time commitment, I'm sure. And thank you to you guys for coming on. I'll leave it to our final usual question. Ryan, I'm turning you loose. Go for it, buddy.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. I mean, it's an hour and a half or an hour and 33 of your life that you ain't never getting back. So we appreciate you investing it in us. But this is a question for you both to answer. You can steal the keys to anything, past or present, and go pulling with it for a weekend and not have to worry about the bill if you wreck it. What are you going to steal the keys to, and where are you going to pull it, and why?
If it were me, I'd probably bring back the 5-star or the early days of the 670 when I was just a little tyke and go pulling wherever. I mean, my dad used to run down to Indiana a lot. Had a lot of good times down there, and just the sound of the 4-cylinder was different, and pulling seemed a lot easier back then, probably because I didn't know what I was doing. Just going along with Dad for the weekend.
If I could steal anybody's keys, I'd pick one of the top modifieds out and go try that for a while. That's always intrigued me that I never really got into. Most we got into is mini rods, so be kind of neat to run one of them for a while.
Well, we might be able to make that happen. I don't know. Someday we will. Someday somebody's going to say something, and somebody's going to send me or any of us a message and say, "Hey, you get us at the same show. We'll switch. We'll swap rides for the weekend, just for fun." We're going. Mark my words. Somebody will do that. Somebody will do that, and I don't know who it'll be, but who knows? Maybe we'll get you on a mod yet.
There we go.
So I don't know if we can bring a 4-banger back from the dead, but I mean, you guys do have the sheet metals.
I'd say we're going back in time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I structured the question such that somebody could say that I want to take Tim Engler's, I want to take Mission Impossible down the track, or I want to take, one of the banners mods down the track, or, the OG, workhorse. So yeah, I know we can't go back in time, but
we can, because the National Tractor Pulling Legends Tour exists, and the 5-star would be eligible. You could reconstitute it and get it out there, and we could make some dreams come true. We could do this,
right? Because you've got so much time to do things like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. I know. With having 3 full bore alcohol supers, you need that project on top of it.
Plus, we got remachined.
Yeah.
That thing's so bad.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I also wanted to compliment you on, I'm so glad that you did the yellow paint scheme with the Mighty Toe. I think that's cool.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. Not too many of them out in the world.
There are not.
Bring that west with you when you come, please. I would love a shot of that.
And I've never seen. I never saw it any other way. The only thing I've ever known is remachined as it was. That first time I ever took that picture, the one that you bought.
Hey, we got.
There you go.
We got an offer.
Aaron.
There we go.
That comment down there.
And that one is again the one you experienced. Yes. Yeah.
You ever drive anything with 23 bajillion cubic inches?
No.
Well, you got an offer right there.
We got to figure this out.
You will have no more phlegm in the back of your throat when you get done driving it, because it's all been vibrated out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take sloppy seconds on that drive. I'm just saying.
Well, guys, thank you very, very much. We do appreciate it. We appreciate the time. It was good to chat. It was good to learn a little bit more about the yellow tractors in the sport and the tractors that have been there for so long. It's kind of cool that in an age where, let's just open up the can of worms that, the curtains don't have to match the drapes. It's cool to see guys who are beating and banging on the drum for the old school yellow power. I think that's cool. I've always thought that was cool. I've always had a lot of respect for you guys for doing that, because it isn't the easy path to do it. You guys run up against a lot of challenges that other builders don't run into. And, that's cool. That waving the flag, like that is, I think that's really cool, really commendable.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm an old tractor guy and I like mini mo.
Yeah, we appreciate all the appreciation behind trying to keep the Moleens going and whatnot. And if it wasn't for that, we probably wouldn't be doing it, other than we're just goofy.
We appreciate it.
Hey, do you guys have a collection of Moleens anywhere? A barn full of
I got
oddballs and rare ones?
I got warehouse full of them, yeah.
Really? I need to talk to you at the next event. I need to make a trip up there and see some of that.
Yeah,
I would love to see some of that. That'd be cool.
Quite a few in the family have collections. So
Ryan's looking for the next barn find UDLX.
Good luck.
Damn right I am. There's one selling on Wednesday. Last time I looked, bidding was at 115, and I don't think we're anywhere close to the final hammer price at that number.
And that's not a barn find.
No, that's a nice that one's nice. It's probably one of the top 5 nicest restored UDLXs out there.
They've probably got 2 or 3 of them stashed in that barn. They just won't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Well, so be it. And I won't. And if I go up there, I won't either. We'll pick something else, and we'll just turn the camera off when we go over that direction. And I'll just kind of sit there and admire them.
Been there, done that. I've turned my camera off on some spots. You just you respect your sources.
Right. You have to.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for devoting the time. I know we kept you probably beyond what your commitment was, but thank you for being so candid with us and sharing a bit of your story. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Till next time.
You bet. Bye.
See ya.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night.
All right.
Okay. I have a point to make. So we talked about UCC going back to one truck, and like them guys.
You're gonna come right in with that.
Yes, because like it just made me think of like them guys running the same power plant as what's on the hood. Like that kind of goes back to that same deal. Like I don't know, in my mind it's like one truck, one engine type of thing, and them guys are running the same power plant underneath the hood, and that's just cool.
Well, I don't know if there's any. I mean, in UCC, I mean, it's not like we have any square bodies with a common rail 6.7 and that are rolling up on the dyno, or do we?
No, it's just the principle of the fact that like, the rules. I don't know. It's just it's just weird. I don't know why I made that connection, but it's like for some reason like that's what went in my mind when they were talking about the same sheet metal and same engine type of thing. That's where that went to for some reason. I don't know. I just had to say it before I broke loose.
That's the thing. I think actually within UCC itself, they've been actually pretty pure about engine to body style. If you were to go over in the ODSS side, yeah, you're going to find the cross dressers all over the place. But UCC side, like I'm the only guy I can really think of that's run a little bit of freaking everything is Chris Haidar, who's got a Super Duty with the Cummins and a Ford transmission behind it. Other than him, like top of mind, you're right. I don't necessarily come up with anybody.
I don't either.
I don't know. It's just like for some reason, like the whole time they were talking about that's what made me go back to for some reason, and it's cool to see that. I don't nerd out near as bad as you do, Charles, and some of that because you've been doing this a lot longer than I have. But still, that's where.
And Adam's right here. I'm sure he's going to remind me of somebody I'm forgetting. There's got to be somebody. I can't believe Chris is the only one.
Right.
Well, not to change the subjects, and I don't think anything bad happened, but did anybody see the news yesterday where they had to evacuate the town of Wisner, Nebraska due to a wildfire?
Yeah.
I did see that.
Negative, I didn't.
Yep.
Yeah.
They got it put out. We had a bunch down here too. We had one about 750 acres, just about 12 miles from my house type of thing. So, yeah, it's been ugly over here. We need rain. We got some to rain, not enough, but it's been pretty ugly. So
yeah, it was a bad weekend to be running a combine out in South Dakota. I know one of my buddies lost a combine.
Yeah,
there's a
and
big.
I'm sure he wasn't the only.
Too. 4,000 acres and burnt half the town down.
Where?
Central Missouri.
No kidding.
Started from a combine fire.
Lancaster County, Nebraska, so out at Lincoln, it was declared a state of emergency for how bad the fires were out there even. So, yeah, running a combine this weekend on Sunday specifically was
hazardous to your health and your town's health.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, but it is kind of an idiot if you're running this weekend, because it was bad. 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and we haven't had measurable precipitation for, I don't even remember when the last time was, and it's dry. So,
I mean, It's probably preaching to the choir here, but there's a reason they tell you to have a tractor fully fueled and hooked up to a disc with you at every field. That's part of the deal. I mean, that was what put out the Olbertson fire in South Dakota. Was they threw that damn thing in road gear, and they let her eat, and she ate, and it created the fire break, and that was what was necessary.
The one that was 12 miles from my house, there's 18 fire departments, 6 law enforcement agencies, 3 emergency managements, 3 county dispatch agencies, and unsure on the number of farmers with tractors and discs, but I've been told there's over 30 type of thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's not a good situation at that point, but yeah,
no.
And the buddy's mother-in-law, they evacuated her house, and the only thing that stopped it from getting their house was the wind. The wind was just enough where it kept it away from the house type thing. They basically tried to clear out as what they could. But the one that first one I was talking about, I mean, that started up from a fire that was basically rekindled a fire a week ago. The wind did. So it wasn't even a combine fire, just rekindled a fire from a week previously. It was still smoldering.
Wow.
So, and it's, like I said, about 750 acres, rough guesstimate. So, but yeah, and not too far, say northwest of Wisner, 2 weeks ago, the town over by Laurel, Nebraska, had a huge one that was about, I think it covered over 6 sections up there too.
Jeez.
And I tell you what, when I'm driving by, and it's an eerie feeling when you see standing corn that's burnt and it may have an ear on it or maybe laying on the ground, and it's just black charred everywhere. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
Woodbridge, Missouri, 3,000 acres, 20 buildings, they thought. Gerald. Yeah.
Keep the water tanker handy. Keep the disc, or the tractor with the disc ready to go.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Potty break.
Had to do what I got to do. Make a call.
It happens.
Oh man. Getting down to
it. What else has happened in the pulling world lately?
I don't know about how much is happening recently, but this is one thing that is happening. National A&T Tractor Pulling Association is kicking off their winter indoor tour in Navarre, Ohio next weekend. Great event. Started off last week. Last year was the first year for it. The team behind it's really good. Venue, I understand, is excellent. I will not be there, unfortunately. Wish I could be, but you've heard me say this on this program, and I've certainly said it on Sidetracked a million times before. The antique pulling world is where it starts. This is where you find out who can drive, and it's the purest form of this sport, and the guys have more fun hanging out together and doing this than any other venue in the sport of pulling that I bear witness to. And I hope it goes off fantastically. I wish I could be there. It's going to be a great winter, and it's time to go kick some butt under some roofs. So happy to see this thing getting started.
My report back from Jason was an excellent event in California.
How was the turnout?
Good. As far as I have no idea on numbers or anything. He just said They had a great turnout, quality equipment. They know how to party.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, I saw a few photos from the weekend. Looked like a good time was had by all.
Yeah, same.
Kenzie and Chandler got back from Texas about 3:00 this morning, so I didn't get a chance to talk to them.
Wyatt, if you got a link for that video, I did see that Uncle Sam had all 5 on out there, but I have not seen the video of the run. I'll try to find it if I can.
I think Jason posted it, actually.
Yeah, but that's like 35 posts ago, and he'll never get there.
35,000.
Hey, we're trying. We've set parameters. We are backing things off. I got a message last night from Florida Pullers. We did that
hot
live,
warm up in the pit.
that live on Wednesday night. They said they normally get 40 to 50 hooks at a club event like they had on Saturday. They had 140.
What classes were they running?
Basically, if you showed up, you could pull. So they were making classes as needed, but they had some mods and 2-wheel drives and antiques, garden tractors, minis. They have 3 sleds now, so
Nice.
No, I'm finding it. I don't want to prolong the show just looking for that. You know, we're closing in on 2 hours anyway, so I don't want to prolong it just for that. But
I sent you a picture of a narrow front Minneapolis Moline from Wagler's that was pretty cool.
Yes, I remember this tractor.
And
I do too.
The thing that I remember from the back of the tractor was like Charles and I are staying next to each other when we were like pulling in, and there was like weights everywhere on the back of that tractor, and it was
Yeah.
cool. So yeah.
Yep. She was a bottle fed baby with a lot of custom stuff going on, and I'm disappointed in myself for not going back in the pit area and hunting it down to try to understand how it ran better.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm just glad that somebody got a decent shot of it, since Charles and I got skunked.
The lady in front of you, or what?
No, how about the entire team crowded around, standing in front?
Oh.
Yeah, there was
Folks,
that.
I'm going to make a quasi impassioned plea. I'm not going to go on a full blown rant, but I'm going to ask pullers and team of pullers. We appreciate that you want to get photos. We would appreciate that you want to get it on your Snapchat and TikTok and yada, yada, yada. Please be aware of your surroundings. Please. I had every single one of those people, and I felt like John Murray, because every single one of those people turned around and looked me square in the eyeballs and then turned right back around to what they were doing. My camera is damn near a foot long. If you can't see it, why?
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say about that. But just try and be aware of your surroundings. We understand what you're trying to do. We're trying to do the same thing. And that.
Yeah. Go ahead and sit on the other side of the barrier wall. It's fine. You know, there's not insurance or anything. It's cool.
Yep. It's a thing.
And you see me clear back there. I'm trying to stand out of Charles's way so that he can get shots down the track too, and just be respectful of everybody else that's there.
It's amazing to me that you even picked up your camera. You were jawing with that other dude so long. Charles and I both looked at each other and said, how the hell is he really actually taking any pictures?
Which one? Because I probably talked to more local people there than any other time, like at an event. And it was just kind of fun. Like, some of them were from a couple miles away and they travel all over. So, yeah, I've invited all of them to TPC type of thing because it's really not that long of a drive compared to our drive there. But, but yeah, it was really cool. I mean, there was a lot of local guys and that came up and chatted with them, and it's really hard to take pictures and chat at the same time because you're like, pause, hold on a minute, and you don't want to be rude, but at the same time, it's like I'm here to do a job.
Mm-hmm.
So,
ZFG, just shoot it.
Right. Multitask well.
But yeah, I get it. I had to pick a fence it and pick a fence a lot of stuff there, but whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. That was cool. I don't remember seeing too many in that class that like I said, with a narrow front, fully weighted type of thing that in the back as much weights as he had.
I want to say that was the only narrow fronted. I'm checking, but I don't think there was another one.
Not at that event, no.
No.
Mm-mm. Now, a couple of years ago at that show, they had I don't know if it was the same class or if it was more expanded, but there was a huge. We had a huge class of farm stocks that night, and it was the night that we had to end up calling the show due to rain. So I think it would have been 2020, and yeah, we even had was it a 1086 or a 1486 with a cab showed up, and it got right after it. It was awesome.
I sent another one, Charles. It shows a little bit of the back end. Sleds on the way, of all things. I just remember Charles and I were standing there in the middle of the track, watching track prep, getting ready, and that thing pulled in. It was like, that's cool.
It just sounded nasty. We're like, what is making that? We heard it before we saw it. And we're like, what's making this noise?
Yeah. I mean, it was a full set of weights in the back. So.
Yeah, over 1,000 pounds in the back, easily.
Shoot, I think you can see close to 2,000 right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, that might be the ultimate.
Poor bastard who had to hoist. Like, you got 75s out here, but you got these 110s in the center. Somebody had to lift those up that high to put them on there.
or it's
the ladder rating on that
ultimate head, or it's the ultimate head fake, and those are 27 pounds, and they're machined out of aluminum, and they're hollow.
I mean, I'd like to think so, but then there's some paint job work going on because, yeah.
I'd be lazy and use the forklift. Get them somewhat close up there instead of crawling up a ladder, let's be honest.
I don't think that's lazy. I think that's practical.
Well, for all that it has that much weight up high and in the back, you'll notice that neither he nor I has a picture of this tractor with the nose in the air. So it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've got one where it's just very lightly touching, and that's about it. But everything else is like there. And he had 2 weights strapped in the front, and that was it.
Yeah.
Actually, you got to figure a 585 is not a lightweight motor.
Well, it should be. There's a lot of vacant space in the crankcase. I mean, we only got 4 mains and all that displacement.
Yeah, but I think there's plenty of heavy iron up towards the front.
I'm being a smart
by this point, but I know, but by this point in time, these tractors might have been built in Forest City, and if so, that may well be a cast iron grill. That grill in and of itself might weigh 300 pounds. I don't know.
That's possible.
But I know some of the Olivers did. I mean, some of the Olivers had that big, heavy grill up front.
Yes, they did. Yep.
So shout out to Tim Wyden for teaching me that one way back in the day. Do we have anything to
actually
rant
think
about?
that is a cast grill tractor.
Doug just commented cast nose piece.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep, I think that is.
So do we have anything to rant about from pull off? Did anyone, cock off and do something stupid, or has it been relatively quiet?
Nothing that teased me up.
I don't think anything that teased me up either. I was pretty well disconnected from the pulling world this weekend, so I was 2 funerals in 3 days sucks. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Pull-off's actually been kind of quiet, and I think it's that time where we just take a disconnect for a minute and go be humans. I've got certainly stuff I need to tend to around here. Could go to Navarre next weekend or this coming weekend. I'm not going to. Weekend after that, yes, I am gone for my last event of the year, but I'm running quickly in my geographic area out of weekends to accomplish things outdoors, and so I need to be a little domesticated for a minute and not be my usual race monster that I am.
You know good and well that your version of domesticated is probably a 7-horse, leaf blower and a chainsaw that makes like 80 horsepower. Don't tell me domesticated.
Those are all true accusations, but my primary purpose is pushing around a paintbrush to get some stuff sealed, some wood sealed in. And I've only got so many days left with Michigan weather where that's accomplishable. And if I don't get it done, it won't be done until next spring because the weather will change. So, yeah, as much as I want to go rage blackout with 2-smoke, I can do that when it's cold. I can't paint when it's not. So,
Nitro-powered paint gun?
yeah, we'd have to have the nitro part on the canister holding the paint to keep it warm enough for application.
I don't see an issue with this. Wear gloves and a helmet. And out comes the helmet.
Shit's real.
No, it's not going to be approved now. See, there we go. Let's go. Game on.
Yeah, boy. I really want to wear that again for the right reasons.
Halloween doesn't count.
No, Halloween doesn't count.
Well, no, at Halloween we'll have things going on here.
Yeah.
Yes, you will.
Yes, we will.
Do we want to tease on this at all or no? I feel like we should.
It's confirmed. Yeah, let's do it.
You're going to see me live from Las Vegas. There's the teaser.
Oh, my God. I have to tune in now then.
Yeah.
Do it, Charles. You booked them.
If you're going to be here next week, you are going to hear from some people who go very, very deep, not just in pulling, but in motorsports, period. We're going to be joined by Tim Arfins and Dusty Spraggins, nay, Dusty Arfins. And they're going to tell their story and what they're up to these days in motorsports. They have not strayed very far. You don't hear their names a lot, but if you watch modern motorsports programming, you've seen what they do these days taking place. And we're going to tell their story.
So the statement is not if you're going to be here, it's you are going to be here.
Well,
Because
if you choose to go out in search of a Snickers versus this, I got nothing for you because your priorities already been decided, and I think your priorities suck.
Go to Walgreens, buy the bag. It'll be on clearance the day after.
Bingo. Yeah, you can get your candy and your sugar fix anytime. But when's the last time you heard from Arts Kits? Never. Cool. We're gonna do it.
And on that bombshell.
And on that bombshell.
All right, guys. I'm outie. I'll see you guys later.
See you guys. Thanks.
See you guys.